Hello, and welcome to everyone. Tonight, we're going to answer questions that seem to be at the top of many parents' minds. And it is December, and I can't believe that I'm going to be discussing a few of the topics we're going to be talking about tonight. But I thought this would make a great live uh, enthusiastic Q&A discussion that would allow me to not only answer the questions that parents have been sending to me via email or direct message, and even in some cases via text, but I thought I would share my opinions, my thoughts, um, so that whenever you're watching this particular video on this particular topic, it may shed some light for you as parents. Now, I'm going to wait a little bit before I delve deep into the topic. I'm going to allow some parents to kind of join me. I really want to encourage you, if you're watching this, to send a message if you have a question while you're joining me here live. Uh, Obviously, this video will be available on YouTube through perpetuity, I hope. But the topic tonight is time and talent, and why you shouldn't be in a hurry to waste either. And I think it's very important for parents to hear, um, and I understand this is just my opinion. I certainly don't consider, other counter uh, opinions or people that don't agree with me. I'm not one to get engaged or involved. Um, Everybody has the ability to disagree. Um, and there are people within this space that think, topics such as strength training is not worth it for children 10 to 18. There are people who think that playing 100 games a year is in your best interest. I've had these dialogues, I've had these, X/Twitter engagements, and they really don't serve a purpose. But I want to ask you as a parent, are you getting emails? Are you getting requests to participate in events, in tournaments in December, in January, in February? And if you are you asking yourself, is this a wise decision? Is this worth the time? Is this really worth the resources that it would take? I'm going to share with you my what I consider to be obvious opinion on this topic, but I think we as adults are going through a phase, a cycle, and I am one that believes that everything that was old will become new again. One look at bell-bottom pants, and you obviously know the '70s are back here in the mid 2000s, and the same thing is going on with the sport of baseball. Now, I want to preface this by saying I am really mainly focused on the age groups of 10 through 16, or through that sophomore year in high school. I'm going to quickly interject and tell you that in 2025 and 2026, college baseball recruiting is going to undergo some significant changes, and they are going to hurt. They're going to hurt high school athletes. They're going to hurt a certain segment within youth baseball. But overall, it is going to be for the betterment of the sport of baseball. And while I'm talking about that, our topic here tonight, I want to really put in plain terms for parents: talent, time. Over the next 6 years, if we're talking about a 10 through 16-year-old, I want you as a parent to understand the odds of your student athlete being a college athlete, an involved college athlete, at the highest levels of the sport are slim. In fact, the percentages will tell you of all high school athletes, 2% will participate as Division I athletes. Another 2 to 3% will participate at the NCAA Division II level. And I also want to utilize those numbers at the NAIA level of Division I and II. My point is the Division I and Division II landscapes of NCAA, NAIA, and NJCAA are going to be for the top talent in the country. They are going to be older, stronger, faster, skilled athletes. And we're talking about a number for those particular levels that will be somewhere in the vicinity of 30,000, and I'm being generous. So if I take 30,000 athletes and I divide them over 4 years of eligibility, at least that's in today's terms, excluding NJCAA or affectionately known as JUCO, that means every year approximately 4 to 5,000 student athletes are going to find their way to play college baseball. Now, if we know that going in, and your sons or daughters at 10 to 16, if your decisions are going to be predicated on words such as exposure, elite, teams, you're chasing the wrong rabbit, and it's not going to end well. And I think you need to understand that the days of travel baseball at 10 through 16 encompassing 100 games in all year round training, that's leading to the rash of Tommy John injuries, not only for pitchers, but for position players. You're seeing a large reduction in other sport participation because you're being led to believe that what you do between the ages of 10 to say 14 is going to have some influence, some incredible movement towards who your student athlete is going to become as a high school athlete. It's wrong. You're being lied to. And to be quite honest with you, you're denying your children of a childhood. So let's start there. First and foremost, if you're getting an invite in any way, shape, or form, or you're being asked as parents to participate in events, tournaments, showcases during the months of December, January, and February, major league athletes, they begin to prepare in January and February, as do college athletes. College athletes and professional athletes are physically mature. They've made decisions in their life and their lifestyles with regard to nutrition, with regard to strength training, with regard to routines and time management as adults, 19 to 35 years of age. Those athletes do not play competitively all year round. Why should your 10 through 16-year-old? Time and talent. Time is a resource. And as a parent, you will recognize this as your children get older and they become more independent. They make their own decisions, how to spend their time. Ask yourself, is it really worth the time to fly all over the country, travel all over the country, to play all of these meaningless games? College baseball is over here waving flags saying, hey, we're not going to be recruiting your son until he's 17 and he has a calling card, which means a skill set, strength, physicality. He's going to have certain levels of discipline. 17. So if you know that now, wouldn't you want to be preparing for that later on when your student athlete is a 17 or 18-year-old, is a junior and senior in high school, and has that desire, discipline, and more importantly, that dream to be a college student athlete? Now, I've spent countless hours on all social media platforms trying to engage with people to let them know at 10 through 16, your athletes, your students, your children, yeah, they have a dream. They may want to become elite baseball players, but nothing that they're doing between the ages of 10 through 14 is going to determine one way or the other whether they're going to be a college caliber or beyond student athlete. The numbers are so microscopic to play Division I college baseball or to be drafted. In fact, we're hearing Major League Baseball basically say college baseball is going to become our development portal. They're basically saying, you develop the talent. We want to see it. We want to watch it develop. And this is what we want to see. So if you're out as a 10 through 16-year-old student athlete chasing trophies, rings, meaningless tournaments, pool play, showcases in December through February, what you're doing is you're wasting time that could be spent nutrition, strength, foot speed, skill set development, things that will enhance the future opportunities of your student athlete. You're not choosing, you're chasing. You wonder why your student athlete has a sore arm in April, but yet you did this big event in Las Vegas or Arizona in January or February that you needed to be at. Was it a social activity for you as a parent, or did it really help your student athlete? Are you avoiding sports like hockey or basketball because you're afraid your child will be hurt and won't be able to play in this tournament in January or February? A dose of reality. We need to come to a basic understanding that time is a currency. Time is a resource. And talent takes time to develop. How many college coaches, how many major league scouts, how many influential people within the sport of baseball on all across these social media platforms are talking about development, physicality, skill set? We hear it every single day, but yet we have parents that are being told they need to participate in these events. I see these groups on Facebook, all of these responses that come from these people that have ulterior motives. And parents, I want you to understand, at 10 through 16, there's not a college coach alive that is worried about recruiting your son. Not one college coach in today's present college recruiting environment, which has forever changed and is not going to go back to the world of 2008 through 2018 or 19 pre-COVID. It's never coming back. They are not going to be recruiting high school 8th graders or freshmen or sophomores, regardless of how many people are telling you the contrarian report. It's not happening. The other part of this equation, time and talent. How much time does it take to develop talent? No one has that answer. For some, they are uber athletic. They pick up certain skill sets such as foot speed and arm strength naturally. For others, of which I was one, and I know hundreds of athletes that were similar. It did not occur until they were actually in high school and were physically and mentally maturing to the point where their time was managed to develop their skill sets. The bell went off and they ended up playing in college. Athletes that were told they would not play beyond high school actually playing college baseball at the game's highest level, both in college and in the summer within the Cape Cod League. You don't need college recruiting services. College recruiting services, the alphabets, the rankings, they're not going to serve any purpose for 10 through 16-year-olds. They're not serving a purpose. This is a fact. You listen to every college coach that joins me on Wednesdays or Thursdays. They tell us what and how these changes are doing with regard to the recruiting process. It's time to look into what was old and what is becoming new again. I've ranted for years about Little League, about American Legion baseball. American Legion is making a comeback, a strong comeback. And the reason is because it is played by multiple age groups for a meaningful cause, and they have a system in place where you're blending upper level, elite level talent, and that talent is going to play across the state, across the region, and ultimately in a true World Series environment in North Carolina. Little League, same thing on a global scale. Multiple age groups, 10 through 12, learning to play the sport against younger and older talent. That is how the game is played at every single level of baseball. Little League, Babe Ruth, Legion, high school, college, they all have the same foundation, multiple ages. Little League, 10 through 12, Babe Ruth, 13 through 15, Legion, Junior Legion, same. Legion senior level, 16 to 19, high school, 15 to 19, college, 19 to 24, 25. You don't need to be the best 13U, 14U player. You don't need to be running around from travel ball team to travel ball team. Travel teams do not have all of the answers. None of us have all the answers. What we have is experience, real world experience, access to people at the game's highest levels that are giving you, parents, insight and information to be able to utilize so that you don't waste time or talent. Wasting time, chasing. You should be choosing. For all of these groups that are out here on Facebook, college recruiting, Facebook groups, arm care, Facebook groups, there's a rash of injuries. Why? Because we're overheating. Our engines and our athletes are overheated. And then we seek out people to repair the engines or the arms. And they basically come out and tell us, the Eric Cressys, the Mike Reinholds, the Ben Brewsters, the Ben Fairchilds, all of the people within the industry of working with baseball-specific exercise routines. And they basically are telling us, you're overheating, you're playing too much, you're throwing too much, you're doing too many lessons. But is anybody listening? Does anybody care? What put me over the edge is I have parents that are actually asking me, should I be sending my son out to the MLK tournament in Arizona on January 15th? He's a pitcher. Are any college coaches going to be there? Hey, there's a big event in Las Vegas for my 14-year-old son. Should I be going to this? No. Emphatic no. How many times do we have to listen to college coaches say, I really like multiple sport athletes because their brain is given a rest. They develop ancillary skill sets, foot speed, mental toughness, disciplines, routines. It gives their mind a fresher. and this is a big part of growing up as a kid. Parents, you're chasing, you're not choosing. And on this topic, I want to add some clarity to this. When you have someone that is telling you as a parent, this is what you should do with your child, ask yourself, what's the ulterior motive? What is the ulterior motive? You want to surround yourself with, you want to make sure you're in the same ballpark. So you go from camp to camp, you chase, you're looking for the edge. So you want to make sure you're on the elite 13U team, 14U team, 15U team. Waste of time. Waste of time. I have seen time and time again where 13, 14, and 15-year-olds did not play travel baseball, kept it local, played senior Little League, played Babe Ruth, worked out, got stronger, got faster, became freshmen in high school, and became superior to their peer group that did the step ladder of travel baseball. And if travel baseball is so great, why aren't all of these athletes that get to 16, why are they not making their varsity baseball teams? Why are they not playing in college? Have we looked at the actual factual numbers of athletes that have played travel baseball from 8U to 16U, and how many of them ultimately played varsity baseball as sophomores in high school or beyond high school and into college? The numbers cannot be fixed. They cannot be manipulated. The numbers tell us. Look at all the kids decommitting. Look at all the athletes that are looking for a home. Listen to the college coaches that are telling us we don't have the ability any longer to have big rosters. We're getting down to 34. They like it because now they basically ride the horses that they saddle up. There's not going to be any more over recruiting. There's not going to be 45 and 55 fall rosters. Those days are coming to an end. All of these talented athletes are going to begin to work their way into Division III, Division II, NAIA schools. There are some of the best college coaches in the country that coach NAIA. All it takes is one look at the talent that's being dispersed and where it's ending up. NCAA Division III, elite academic institutions, NCAA Division II, U Tampa, Florida Southern, Barry, St. Leo's, Lynn University, Nova Southeastern, Southern New Hampshire. These are elite college programs. And I promise you that just because your son played in high school doesn't mean he's going to be able to play at Division II or Division III. I talk with coaches at the Division III level. They are getting inundated with Division I transfers. And that's healthy for the sport. It's healthy for the sport, for the talent to be spread out. No such thing as mid-majors. There'll be P4s. And those P4 programs, as we refer to them today, the days of high school athletes just kind of walking onto campus and expecting to play, they're basically done because those coaches have to win, and they have to win right away. They have to compete. They have to put a competitive product on an SEC, ACC, Big 12, or Big 10 field. They have to. The JUCO transfers, the JUCO graduates. The portal is going to be plug and play athletes. So now, with all of that, you're the parent of a 10 through 14-year-old athlete, 10 through 15-year-old athlete. When are you going to start to make the time to develop the talent, the strength component, the discipline component? When are you going to do that? Lessons all year round. They're not helping. They're not helping. Athletes can do things on their own. They can do things off of a tee. They can do front toss. They can do self-toss. They can play catch. They can play wall ball. You do not need the confines of a youth travel program. And I'm going to tell you, there are a lot of programs out there that are, their owners have become extremely wealthy because they create fear that you as parents are missing out and that you must participate and that they've done this over the last 10 years or 15 years. You've made a lot of people very wealthy over the last 10 to 15 years. You need a simple plan to allow your child to embrace and develop a passion, a love of the sport of baseball. And if you do that over the course of those years of 13 through 15, your student athlete will understand the purpose and the need to become stronger, to have a routine, to understand it's okay to go ride a bike, to understand it's okay to go play basketball, to go fishing, to go play pond hockey, to play pickup basketball, to play multiple sports, to play football. Trying to tell young athletes from 10 to 16 that they need to be actively participating in a tournament or a showcase or something between the months of December through February, all you're doing is adding wear and tear to your student athlete's body that is going to come due and come payable during the spring and summer when your student athlete wants to be at their best, when it's actually baseball season. And I think that is the point that I'm making with this video. I'm not going to go on and on and on and try to tell people that your travel ball programs are a waste of time or waste of money. That's up to you to decide. You know the people that you're dealing with. Some are absolutely brilliant. Some are absolutely great life mentors. And I know an awful lot of them. But conversely, there's a lot of people that are after your student athlete's time, which equates to money for them. Little League, Babe Ruth, American Legion. They have a community-based component. They have a tryout component. They don't just create another team because so-and-so didn't make it. And so at some point, you as parents have to understand creating an environment within your community. Yeah, you might get bloody because you're the first one through the door. And you might get ridiculed because everybody else is like, ha, 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 he's not playing for the elite AAA prospect team. He's going to get left behind. Or he didn't make the 13U, platinum bronze All-American prospect team. Those days are done. College coaches are not going to the 13, 14, 15U World Series, whether it be in Florida, Georgia, Arizona. It's not happening. Nothing you're doing between the ages of 10 or 16 is worth chasing or risking potential injury. College coaches want to see your student athlete get between the lines as a 17-year-older in a high school, legion, or travel environment playing an elite game that is meaningful and that your student athlete is competing to the best of their ability. 5 things you need to understand as a parent that college coaches are going to look at with your student athlete. 1, size, body. Whether we like it or not, doesn't mean height. Physicality. Is there physicality? Is there something there that tells a college coach that that student athlete is taking the time to put resources into their body? 2, talent. Is there skill set? Is there an underlying skill set? Is there foot speed? Is there bat to ball skill sets? Is there ability to throw strikes? Is there ability to compete, when the odds are against them or an error was made about it behind them? Body language. What's their body language? What's their emotional control? What is it like? And lastly, what is the projection of that athlete? Do they still have gas in the tank? What does the athlete look like when the game is on the line? Meaning, what is the care factor as a teammate within the team, the baseball IQ? How do you develop the baseball IQ? Being engaged in games with older skill sets and older players where you're learning and you're watching decisions that are made and you're downloading that information. The game does not precede 10U, 11U, 12U, 13U at the 18, 19, 20, 21. When you're looking to get bang for your buck from all the money, all the time that you spent at 10 through 16, what's the return on investment? What did you really learn? What did you really gain by playing those 100 games and taking all of those lessons and depriving and not having an active participation from a childhood's perspective with multiple sport or other hobbies or areas of interest? What if you never lifted a weight because you're so busy traveling around the country chasing a showcase? And you're up here high level throwing 82 miles an hour as a 13 or 14-year-old. Who's going to care? What's the arm going to look like as an 18-year-older when you're out trying to showcase it off and trying to get these spin rates all over the place at the Alphabet Network and trying to get them to grade your student athlete as a 13 through 16-year-old? The time has come to put the flag at the 50-yard line and to basically tell parents, here's the facts. The college coaches are coming out here and saying, we're getting older, physically stronger athletes that are competing across all levels of college baseball. The development at the higher levels of baseball is being placed at the college coach's feet. They're not going to have the ability to bring a young man in and say, go into the weight room for 2 years, get into the cafeteria and get bigger, get stronger. Not going to have that. So if we know that's what coaches are telling us, at what point do you as parents or student athletes want to take that baton, take that information, and utilize it? I put out a post tonight. There are two student athletes that 2 years ago, reached out to me when their children were freshmen in high school. And at that time, I conveyed the same exact message. And even to this day, those two families will still say, we're not getting recruited. We're not getting recruited. But here's what you are doing. You're getting bigger. You're getting stronger. You're on more radars. You're getting invited to things like the area code games roster, which is a big deal. Ask yourself when you're reading social media posts, why are all these student athletes decommitting from Division I schools? I thought that was the end game, right? You went to Travel Ball World X, you played in this big tournament, and now you're at Division I, and now you have 3 or 4 years of eligibility, and you're walking away. Do you really want to be the parent of a college freshman that's being told you got to go home? You got to go find a new place to live. It's Christmas. It's the holidays. And you want to be moving out of a dorm and have no idea where you're going? It's not a fun process. It is a business. This whole industry is one big, massive business. And you as a parent have to understand your role within this business. You need to make informed decisions. You need to choose what is important and why it is important. And when are you going to take the time to develop the talent so that when it needs to be on display and it needs to be evaluated as a 17 through 19-year-old, you'll be ready and you'll be at your best. You'll be at your strongest. You'll be, more importantly, at your healthiest. Now, you see me with this Blue Book hat. You see me with my Blue Book shirt. And I want you to understand, the Baseball Blue Book has been around for over 100 years. It's a free tool. It is a free resource that has helped families interact with colleges all across the country. Had a family from Nebraska a few years ago, interacted with me due to the Blue Book. Now they're at Wichita State. My point is, it's as simple as creating a profile. It's free. You don't have to fly someplace. You don't have to go to a showcase. You put your information in. You put up some videos. We evaluate it. It's there for college coaches to take a look at. And if you're taking the time to develop your talent, When you want to be recruited, if you have put in the time to develop your talent, it will be there for you. Now, I don't want to continue to kind of go down this road. I think it's kind of counterproductive. Um, I think the one thing that I want parents to understand is I have no dog in this race. I have no horse in this race. Whether you don't want to play Legion, you don't think Little League is good, that's entirely up to you. But you're being led to believe the narrative is being pushed because the travel ball world at the younger levels, please listen to me loud and clear, not talking about 16 to 19-year-old travel baseball, not talking about older travel baseball, talking about travel baseball between the ages of 8 through 15 or 16 years old. You're being told that Little League and Babe Ruth and Legion stink because they want you to make sure that you follow their advice. You follow their processes. You follow their yellow brick road. Time and talent. You control both as parents. More importantly, your children, they want the opportunity to dream, to develop a love and a passion for the sport of baseball. Going to some event in December or January or February, if you live in a cold weather state, the Midwest, the Northeast, Pacific Northwest, I understand in warm weather climates it goes on, it has been going on for decades. But those athletes have a lot of wear and tear on their arms by the time they turn 18. It's mileage you're putting on your child's body that no mechanic can fix at 16 through 18. Please understand the analogy. You're going out and you're putting mileage on your student athlete's body, their arm. There's wear and tear. At some point, the bill comes due. And for some, it's Tommy John surgery at 17 through 18. I'm just telling you that this is a topic that needs to be in the crosshairs. It needs to be discussed. There is no 100% fail-safe, follow this, and you're going to end up here methodology. There is, however, decades and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of athletes that for many, many decades, I was one. I've coached hundreds of athletes, even to this day, that weren't very good in Little League, that weren't very good at 13, became okay at 14 and started to get really good at 15 and 16. And the answer was time and talent were spent with a routine, with skill set development, with physical development, with mental development. Can't think. My son is a sophomore, a JUCO sophomore. He just got his first D1 offer. For someone like Ken, I've learned that the single most important is being on teams that win the highest level of championships, both high school and travel ball. That's where the scouts are. Okay, I'm gonna. First of all, I put my glasses on. I can't see how many people are watching this. I don't know when you're going to watch this. College coaches could care less about your high school's championships. They could care less about your travel team's championships. They're not recruiting your head coach of your champion team. College coaches, and I'm going to say this, at all levels, divisions 1 and 2. And I'm just talking about those specifically for right now because that's what makes everybody's ears go. NAIA and NCAA divisions 1 and 2 are filled to the brim with elite, skilled athletes. All 4 classes, from freshmen to seniors, red shirts, transfers, NAIA and NCAA, 4-year academic institutions, they're looking for competitors. They're looking for heart. They're looking for baseball IQ. They're looking for athletes that are prepared when they walk on campus. can't say it any louder. I can't say it any more than I do every single week. College coaches could care less if your high school team won 2 games or 20 games. They could care less if you came in last or you won a state championship. What they want to know, can you help our program be better than we were last year? Because every college coach has one mission, and that is to win the final game of the year. They want to win the last game is played for their level, their division, whether it's a conference or a regional or a national level game. They want to be the victors in the last game that is played. And if your student athlete is prepared to help them be better, you're going to get an opportunity. It doesn't matter about the caliber of the team that has won 15 fictitious national championships from 1996 to 2021. Nobody cares. How many Little League World Series participants that are not named Todd Frazier or the late Sean Burroughs that played in the Little League World Series that never even played in college? Most of them do, but not all of them. They don't become household names. And if we're really paying attention, are you looking into the international baseball environment? Japan routinely is winning national events, international events. I'm not just talking about Ohtani. I'm talking about athletes from Korea and China and Japan. Look at Latin countries, Mexico, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, the Dominican. These athletes, they're going to academies at 14 to 15, and they're playing with older players, and they're getting better. These athletes are now beginning to find their way onto college campuses. That's a fact. That's not a hype or a scare tactic. That's a fact. Look at Stanford. They have the #1 high school athlete from Japan at Stanford. Time and talent. Are you wasting it or are you spending it wisely? This topic is only going to get bigger and bigger over the next 2 years as the tsunami that awaits us in 2025 begins to hit in the spring and 1 year from now. And you as parents have the ability to make a choice, to make a decision to enhance the passion, the love, the respect, the intellect that goes into the sport of baseball. Just because somebody produced a player over here doesn't mean they can sprinkle magic juice or magic powder on your student athlete and make them a Division I athlete. It doesn't work that way. And I promise you, there are NAIA schools that could go walk in and play a Division I school and compete. Same with NCAA Division III. The only differences are the depth in the bullpens. The talent between the lines is negligible. It's about even, and it's going to get more even over the next 2 years. So as a parent, when do you want to know that? Today or 2 years from now, 3 years from now? Time and talent, it's up to you. Don't waste it. Do not chase. Choose your path. Get your evaluation. Listen to what the college coaches are saying. Listen intently to who they're recruiting. And then follow the outline that those coaches are providing us as parents. Kyle Wren is a day late and a dollar short, Mr. Niche. I've been saying that for 4 weeks. December 1st, here's the other thing. And I'm going to lay this out there. I put myself out here on social media. I get the slings. I get the arrows. I don't care. I'm 62 years old. Could care less. I get a lot of my information from people that I consider to be friends. And a lot of stuff, if you follow me on social media, 4 weeks ago, you saw me put out there that December 1st was going to be the deadline. Before that, you heard me say the roster cap was going to be 34. That was weeks and weeks before it came out. Elite sports advising, all of these people that want to tell people, and all the 4-letter people and the 2-letter people and the 3-letter people, They play a part, but they are not going to get you to where you want to go unless you have a plan, unless you have a purpose. Time and talent. It takes time to develop talent. It takes time through your nutrition and your strength training. Are we going to listen to the Cressies and the Brewsters and the Reinholds talking about the rash of arm injuries? Are we going to listen to Tom House and Alan Yeager about give your body time, rest, replenish, recover? We're going to listen to Tommy Moffitt or Ben Fairchild talking about the power of sleep and the power of nutrition. Are we going to listen to college coaches tell us about the power of being a multiple sport athlete? Whether you play just two or you play pickup other sports and you just play baseball, with regard to the spring and the summer or even the fall, but you need time off. All of these people that are trying to give you the pathway to college, how do you even know that your student athlete is going to be able to play in college? Has anybody ever said no to you? Has anybody ever said, you know what, I don't think that your son currently has the skill set to play at the college level, but if he has the desire and the passion, here's an alternative route. You might want to go down this path, and it might be the road less traveled, but it might be the right path for your son. This is something that parents need to understand. We are all individuals. We all have unique skill sets. We all have unique relationships. I think parents need to understand it is not a one size fits all. No one has all the answers. I certainly don't. I take pride in knowing that I can pick up a phone and ask, hey, what are you hearing about this? Or do you have an answer for this? I got asked this. I didn't know the answer. What is the reality? It's just a collective village that it takes to help. And if we all work together and we turn out the noise and we turn it off and we don't try to chase somebody else's path and we instead kind of get our affairs in order, an evaluation, both from a skill set perspective, a nutrition perspective, a strength perspective, a time management routine that allows our children to have fun, to be kids. That is going to help our children. Daniel, that's fine. I respect your decision. Listen, we're all wrong. This is just my opinion. Doesn't mean that I am completely right. I have conviction in my beliefs, but I will tell you that I have seen athletes for decades that have played on high school or travel teams that did not have successful records. And a few athletes have been able to go and play at the collegiate level. I've witnessed that. I've seen that. Do better programs tend to have better coaching? Possibly, but that's not always the case, particularly at the high school level where you're at the mercy, if we're at a public school, and you're at the mercy of numbers and who's moved into your area, your city, your town, etc. Don't fall for the adage that all the successful super travel teams are sending all of their athletes. Nothing could be further from the truth. Yes, they are well coached. Yes, they provide really, really great resources with regard to coaches and instructors who provide tremendous baseball intellect, and they in turn pass that on. But whether they win a lot of games or lose a lot of games is not going to be determined who goes on to play college baseball or not. I've seen a lot of teams that were really strong and they didn't win the final game of the year. They weren't state champions or regional champions. So please, I don't ever want parents to think my high school team doesn't win a state champion. Let me transfer my student to a different. We have to stop with this transfer mentality because A, it's not always greener, and B, take care of your business. Make sure your student athlete is taking pride in being celebratory in their teammates' success, in the team's success, embracing the role that they are given the opportunity to provide for their team and excel in that role. I've seen Dansby Swanson was a third baseman as a freshman, a second baseman as a sophomore on a national college championship team, and then was a first overall pick and an MLB All-Star as a junior shortstop. Oh, by the way, hit 250 in high school, 275 in high school. My point is, we're being led to believe that we have to chase other people's pathways. The state championship team, we need to be on that state champion team. We need to be on that travel team that sends all these guys. That's not the truth. Be on a travel team at the older levels that is well coached, well respected, has discipline, and also coaches and develops. Travel baseball at the younger level should be fun. If you're having fun and your sons and daughters have fun with their teammates and they're with a great mentor that's providing and instilling passion and love and respect for the sport of baseball, that's great. But understand, Little League is meant to be played by 10 through 12-year-olds. Babe Ruth, Junior Legion, 13 through 15. Senior Legion, Senior Babe Ruth, 15 through 19. It's meant to emulate what the models of baseball actually look like in high school, college, and professional baseball. Don't fall for the whole thing that your son's a great 12-year-old. That means he's going to be a great 13-year-old. Not necessarily true. Physical maturation all begins to level out at 15. The early risers at 12, 13, everybody catches up to those guys for the most part. It's the people that have it here and here that pass those athletes that rest on the laurels and the successes that they had from 8 through 12. There is no easy way. There is no easy path with regard to youth baseball. Trying to play events December, January, and February, you're just adding wear and tear you're adding mileage to the car. And when the lease comes due, when your student athlete is 16 through 18, when they really want to hit the gas pedal for playing at the big boy events in high school and beyond, they're going to be hurt, they're going to be sore, they're going to be burnt out. And then you're going to look in the mirror. Was it worth the time? Did I waste the talent? That's the question that you have to be asking as parents. Stop worrying about exposure at 10 through 16 because you're going to get exposed. Start focusing on time management, time discipline, talent, skill set development. It'll pay more dividends.